Breaking news. This is WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. I didn't even have to change the thumbnail. For those of you watching this a little bit later, here's the deal. This is within 90 minutes of me hearing that once again somebody tried to assassinate former President Trump. And you want to know what I thought? As soon as I heard it, I thought, man, I hope we find out it was a Republican soon because I don't want to make a new thumbnail. Before I even found out if Trump was hit or not, I didn't think he was, but before I even checked, the first thing that came to mind was I hope it was another Republican shooter because I didn't want to make another thumbnail. I just want to make it clear that that is how little I care about the physical well-being or even mental health of Donald Jerkoff Trump. But he is fine. Wasn't even grazed this time. He's fine. How y'all doing? We're going to talk about that in a moment. Well, hello, Wicked Foxy Dragon. Good to see you, my friend. Gladius Ostentus. Hello. Cat67, Cat, hello. Anti-corporatist, hello. Hey, I was about to get some food before I crashed for the night. Good on you, man. I'm so sorry you have COVID right now. I really hope that I've been laid up with COVID for the weekend. I understand you're stuck in a hotel because you got COVID on the road. That I don't want to say that's the worst thing I can imagine. There's a hell of a lot of worse things I can imagine, but that's just a rotten weekend, dude. I'm sorry you're going through that. But hey, you got your old pal Jake here. Maybe I'll entertain you for a little bit because Trump got shot at again. Today, this time he was golfing. I know, a shock. Trump, golf, when there's important things to be done, when he's running to be president, yeah. It turns out he decided to take a rare break from his busy work schedule to golf. And while he was doing that, my understanding is a man from Hawaii who voted for Trump in 2016 and then I think Tulsi in 2020 and was a Haley supporter in 2024. In other words, a longtime Republican, flew from Hawaii to the mainland United States, purchased an AK 47 type gun, a similar gun to an AK 47, uh, body armor, and then perched outside of Mar-a-Lago, took a couple of shots at Trump. It is worth pointing out, and there is a what you can do for this. It is worth pointing out it was once again a Republican. You should tell everybody you know it was a Republican. So it gets firmly in the mind brains of people everywhere that once again it was a Republican. What does this tell you about who Republicans are? I really don't worry about extremist lefties because lefties are not people who fundamentally think it is an acceptable way to behave. To hurt people. We don't hurt people when we vote for laws. In other words, we don't vote for laws that we think are going to hurt people. But right wingers do all the time. Right wingers vote for laws that they think are going to hurt people. When I talk to them, their reasoning is almost always these people must be hurt because otherwise I can't benefit. Now, what I end up arguing with them about is whether or not they will benefit from those laws. But it has to be pointed out that they're the sort of folks that are okay with hurting people. So they appear to also be the sort of folks who are okay murdering people. That's a second murder attempt on Donald Trump that we've had from a Republican this year. We also know that when they have mental breakdowns, it tends to be Republicans that pick up a gun and ammunition and wander into a school and ruin a community's well being. They ruin the lives of as many families as they can before they're gunned down. That's a Republican crime. So let's get to those details. This is CNN. Bum, 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 bum. I don't know why I did that. Yeah. Here's what we know so far as the FBI investigates an apparent assassination attempt of Donald Trump. This is by CNN's Michelle Shen. The FBI is investigating what appears to be an assassination of Donald Trump, the agency said Sunday, just 2 months after an attempt on the former president's life at a Pennsylvania rally. Let me stress this again. Both attempts were made by Republicans. The former president is safe after shots were fired at Trump International Golf Club in South Florida on Sunday. Here's what happened. I might need to update. No. In my head until this moment, I was sure it was at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know why. The Secret Service spots a rifle. A Secret Service agent who was a number of holes ahead of the former president spotted a rifle barrel sticking out of a fence and engaged with the suspect. Gunshots during golf. Trump was moving between holes 5 and 6 at his golf course, presumably dropping a golf ball he did not hit down in a spot where he wanted to be. The Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach with donor Steve Witkoff. Oh, we're going to look that up. Steve Witkoff, an American investor and landlord. He's a real estate investor and landlord based in New York City, founder of the Witkoff Group, presumably a prick. When gunshots went off, the course was immediately locked down, according to a source familiar with the matter. The sheriff was alerted. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw said his office was alerted at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that gunshots were fired by the U.S. Secret Service. Witness spots a man in the bushes. A witness saw the suspect run from the bushes and took a picture of his vehicle that led to the man's apprehension, according to the Palm Beach County Sheriff. Quick note here. What's most effective in stopping gun violence? Is it a good guy with a gun? No. It's anybody with a camera. That tends to be of more use to people, and we should bear that in mind always going forward. Make real free with people's right to shoot photographs and video. And I frankly don't care about their right to shoot bullets. Other than to say we must restrict it when it comes to assault rifles. Nobody needs a military weapon. Highway gets flooded with police. Martin County Sheriff William D. Snyder said his agency flooded Interstate 95 and closed a large swath of the highway before eventually safely stopping the suspect's vehicle and detaining him. That's right, we got a live one. Man taken into police custody. The suspect was not armed when law enforcement officials took him out of the car, and he has not made any statements regarding his alleged involvement in the incident, Bradshaw said. According to 3 law enforcement sources, the person in custody in connection with the incident is Ryan Wesley Routh. Man leaves rifle and belongings in the bushes. Law enforcement officials found an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks, which were hung on the fence and had ceramic tile in them. Ah, yes. Jury-rigged body armor. Ceramic tile in the backpacks, presumably to stop bullets. And a GoPro where the suspect was positioned in the bushes. You put a backpack on front. You put a backpack on the back. Fill it up with tile, hence body armor. Not exactly NIJ certified, but what can you do? So, what does this mean? Very little, other than to say Republicans do this all the time. There is a reason they're shooting at Trump because anybody with any knowledge whatsoever of what Trump has gotten up to is wondering, why hasn't somebody else dealt with him? Why hasn't somebody official dealt with him? Why is this threat to our well-being, which he is, by the way? They are not wrong about that. Why is he not in a prison cell? And when the people that hear this and think this are Republicans, they act as Republicans tend to act, which is to say, irrationally, selfishly, childishly, short sightedly, poorly, irresponsibly, dangerously, criminally. And that is how Mr. Routh acted. For the record, and I know I don't need to tell you this. I don't mean to insult you by telling you this. I just feel that repetition is important with this message. For the record, if anybody on the left, in other words, if anybody who's competent and would actually hit what they're aiming at, if anybody on the left tries to shoot Trump, I will teleport to wherever he is. I don't know how. My will is so strong, I will simply make it so. I will teleport to wherever he is and snatch the bullets out of the air with my bare hand. And I'll look at you with my laser eyes and melt you to ash. And here's why. Here's why. And if by any chance there's a Republican listening, I want you to appreciate this reasoning. It's not because I think Trump deserves anything less than an express ticket to hell. Does he deserve such a thing? 100% he does. It's because we have an opportunity in Donald Trump. We have an opportunity that we have never had before and we may never get again. He is the John Softsword of America. He is the leader that was so weak, so reckless, so blatant in how he was irresponsible and corrupt that we can make an example of him. And there is nothing our pathetic Department of Justice would like more than for a random crazy to take that responsibility off their hands, to free them of that responsibility. Don't. We chickened out with Richard Nixon. We chickened out with Ronald Reagan and the Iran-Contra affair. We chickened out with George H.W. Bush. Also Iran-Contra. We chickened out with George W. Bush and Colin Powell when they lied about our reasons for invading Iraq and got a whole bunch of over 1 million people killed. We arguably chickened out when Barack Obama killed a U.S. citizen, ordered the death of a U.S. citizen without a trial. We chickened out. Now we have Trump. The illegality of his behavior cannot be ignored unless he's dead. If he's dead, suddenly everyone that was involved with what he did will say it was all his idea. And for the sake of moving the country on and shirking their responsibility, the DOJ will agree with them, spit on his grave, and turn the page in history. That's unacceptable. We need to establish that U.S. presidents are nothing more or less than U.S. citizens. They are subject to the same laws that we are. Death is Trump's only escape. Don't let him escape. He's been Teflon Don way too long. We simply cannot allow that to continue. Thoughts and thoughts and prayers, says Foxy. Well put. Rex Trek. Thought for sure there was no way Cheney would allow Trump to threaten his daughter, period. Cheney knows people. Maybe. But I think this is more accurate. Merrick Garland is hiding under his desk. Yeah. Merrick Garland is a disgrace. Frankly, and I want to be clear that I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but I'll at least acknowledge that we're years away from this even being a potential possibility. Merrick Garland needs to see the inside of a courtroom himself over the fact that we are 4 years after a coup and the organizers are not in prison for it. I don't think that you'd get a conviction, frankly. I don't think we'd be able to demonstrate clearly enough that Garland broke laws. But I think we need to charge him anyway with some legalese way of saying dereliction of duty. Because that is what he engaged in. And the next attorney general who's in a crunch like this needs to see that they will be judged. As far as we know, says the anti-corporatist, no one was injured by the Secret Service firing upon the subject. Yeah, I assume the Secret Service are also Republicans, so they're not going to be able to hit much, unless there was a bunch of bystanders around, in which case they'd have hit innocent civilians. But it was a golf course, so there was none of that. So, Glenn Kirshner, Glenn Kirshner or Sally Yates. I don't know what that's in reference to, but I love Kirshner. Well, uh, Richard Hinckley, have we covered fact of life and get over it yet? I don't support this kind of action. Just saying this is how that ticket talks about mass child murders 100%. I think we should hit him with the thoughts and prayers. Just like Foxy was saying. I think that's the ideal way to talk about this. You say, "Oh, yeah, thoughts and prayers." Oh, you wanna do are you saying now you wanna do something? I forgot. You don't give a if children are being massacred in schools, but when an old racist, has their life in danger, then your ears perk right up, don't they? So you might actually wanna do something now that it's not children being killed, but horrible people having their lives endangered. Yeah, we can talk about it. Maybe an assault rifle ban, you know, because the last 2 assassination attempts, were carried out by somebody with an assault rifle, one of which was bought the day of the attempt. I bought body armor once. I bought full on level 4 body armor. Took me less than a week from drunkenly ordering it to it arriving on my doorstep. Less than a week. Military equipment. I thought that's a miracle of modern industry that such a thing could arrive on my doorstep, me, an idiot, with a credit card in less than a week. But I'll tell you, if I got someone mad enough to give me a death threat on the very mad enough to give me a death threat, and I had the thought to buy body armor, at the same moment they had the thought to come kill me with an assault rifle, uh, I would be dead because they would be able to get the assault rifle quicker than I could get the body armor. And I think that says a hell of a lot about who we are. Thoughts and prayers don't work, says Looney Tunes 9000. Only actions work. People need to drop the fucking Thoughts and Prayers Act. I agree, except I think we should keep saying thoughts and prayers. I think in order to drive that point that you're making home to the madmen who keep voting for chaos and carnage in the United States, we should tell them that all we have for them is thoughts and prayers until they have something more for the school children of the United States. We'll react to their ghouls being endangered with thoughts and prayers. I won't say for who. Maybe for Republicans to get better aim. Wireless Mike, good to see you, my friend. If you're just tuning in, the whole story is this: another Republican attempted to shoot Trump. Why is it relevant that they're a Republican? Well, to be absolutely clear, it's because their morals are bad and their aim is bad. You can pretty much assume that it's a Republican every time you hear Trump survived or got shot at all. If you hear they got shot at, you can assume it was probably a Republican because they have terrible morals. And it's confirmed it's a Republican if you find out that they missed because they are also incompetent. Can't even sin correctly. These fools. Incidentally, things that would be the main news story for the year in any other year of U.S. history before 2016, Trump appears to be having an affair with Laura Loomer. Let me redact that. Not redact that. Let me retract that. And stress it differently. Appears to be. He appears to be having an affair with Laura Loomer. I don't know if he is or not. It's irrelevant if he's actually having sexual intercourse with her or not. What is relevant is that he appears to be, as in, this person is in his company all the time. She is invited to come hang out with him. She was on his private plane. She's with him at events. I don't care about his infidelity to his wife because we already knew he was unfaithful to every wife he's ever had, including Melania. It's not news, in other words, that he's unfaithful. The reason. All right, Dennis Peculio, hold up. You're saying sources. I'll get there in a moment. But let me finish making the point. Because it's not a matter of question that she was on a plane with Trump. It's not a matter of question that they were at campaign events together. And I'm not talking about the affair as the thing that bears pointing out. She is allowed to be in his company. She is welcome in his company. That's what I have a problem with because it's Laura Loomer, a person who said the White House will smell like curry. And that Kamala Harris eats quote unquote collard greens. Because Laura Loomer is a racist. Don't take my word for it. Take Marjorie Taylor Greene's word for it on Twitter. Or just her words on Twitter. Laura Loomer's own words on Twitter. She's a horrible see you next Tuesday. And she is around Trump so often that there are rumors that they're having an affair. Again, let me be clear. I don't know if Trump has an open relationship with his wife. I frankly assume they have an understanding of some sort because he is a known villain, and he was at the time that they got married. So I assume they have some kind of understanding. It's the person he chose to do it with. And again, it's irrelevant if they're actually having intercourse. It's the fact that Laura Loomer's hanging out around this guy so much. the matter with you? My source, their social media accounts. Laura Loomer herself confirming that she was on Air Force One with him. Pictures of them publicly at campaign events hugging. This person is a known racist. She's a hate preacher, essentially. Should be disqualified. In addition, in addition, J.D. Vance admits to making up stories about Haitians. Let's make sure. This is from The Guardian. Let's pull it up here. From The Guardian, J.D. Vance admits he's willing to create stories to get media attention. In a stunning admission, the Republican vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance, said he was willing to create stories on the campaign trail while defending his spreading false, racist rumors of pets being abducted and eaten in a town in his home state of Ohio. Vance's remarks came during an appearance on Sunday on CNN's State of the Union, where he said he felt the need to create stories so that the media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people. Incidentally, suffering he created because immediately following the debate, where those lies he made up were spread, bomb threats from Republican scum were called in to schools in Springfield, Ohio. You sinister fucks. Don't let me catch you in the street. Asked by the CNN host, Dana Bash, whether the false rumors were centering on Springfield, Ohio, whether the false rumors centering on Springfield, Ohio were a story that you created, Vance replied, yes. He then said the claims were rooted in accounts from constituents and that he was, as well as the Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump, had spoken publicly about them to draw attention to Springfield's relatively large Haitian population. I will add, they called them quote unquote illegals. They're legal immigrants, incidentally. I already covered this in chat. What you can do. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But it's still good content because people ought to know. Miss Jen's cats, oh, for sake. Yeah. Yeah. So, in conclusion, yeah, they're hate mongers. Exactly. In conclusion, Republicans have no morals. Seek out the worst possible human beings they can to do the most damage they can for reasons I do not understand. Did I cover can't shoot? Let me take that from the top because it bears repeating anyway. Republicans can't shoot. Tried to shoot Donald Trump for the second time. Have no morals. Have terrible leaders. Might wake up. Might decide to live lives that are worth a damn so you don't feel like you have to push other people down so you can feel better about yourself. What's the matter with you? Sincerely, Republicans. You know, I'm out here living in the world and I don't get called racist all the time. I don't find that people are terribly sensitive about race. In fact, I even know a lot of folks of races that are different than mine that enjoy making crass jokes about race. I even get to make crass jokes about race. I called Italians a slur the other day, and we all laughed at it, including an Italian. If you find that everywhere you go, everyone you meet seems to be sensitive about race, consider the fact that you're the problem. You already know this, though. You know it's in your heart. You know it's not good. When I see that your candidate had the second assassination attempt of the year, and I don't worry that it was one of my guys, think about how much that says about you. I'm going to offer you an olive branch you don't deserve in the interest of making peace, because you generally don't end up making peace with people you like. I want to throw a lot of Democrats into prison, and I'd like your help doing that, Republicans. The price you're going to have to pay is that you're going to have to throw a lot of Republicans into prison as well. I'm going to ask my members in the next post that I do, I'm going to ask them to help me come up with a list of Democrats we would like to see in prison. Amongst them, for me, I would include obviously Bob Menendez, but he's going already, so no more work needs to be done. But Eric Adams, mayor of New York, I'd like to see his ass in prison. I'm pretty sure. I don't have proof, obviously, but I'm pretty sure he's broken the law and deserves to be in prison. And I ask my members to help me come up with a list. There's plenty of Democrats I think belong in a prison cell. And Republicans, I think you would enjoy, maybe I'm wrong, but I think you'd enjoy helping me get them literally locked up. And I'm going to need you, in exchange for that, to stop defending criminals simply because they're part of the party that you like, because that party abuses people you've been told not to like. I'm going to need you to get over politics. First of all, you're a Republican. You don't understand politics. That's what I'm thinking anyway. But second of all, whether you do or don't, whether it turns out I'm wrong or you're wrong about who we ought to be voting for, understand, Republicans, that it is not you versus me. If it was, you'd be dead and I'd have no problems. It is you and me versus them. Always has been. It's everybody in this chat versus the people we are arguing over. Even if you and I hate each other and never learn to even kind of like each other, even if that never happens, it's still us on the same team versus the ruling class. Get comfortable throwing some of your own in prison, because you ought to know I and the majority of my audience are going to throw them in prison. I don't care if you successfully manage to canoe Trump's head with a bullet one of these times. If one of you incompetent pricks gets lucky and actually lands one of these shots, I'm going to drag his corpse into prison. That's happening because an example must be made of this man. The olive branch I extend to you is that I think plenty of people in the Democratic Party deserve prison sentences as well. Arguably Barack Obama, arguably Joe Biden, just not for the reasons you think, because you've been living in make 'em up fantasy land. I'll explain to you in future broadcasts why I think Joe Biden probably deserves some prison time. But I now just want you to sit for an evening with the idea that even though we may not like each other, and probably never will, maybe, I hold out hope we might find common ground. No, in fact, I know we'll find common ground. No promise that we'll like each other, but our common ground is that we both want the corruption to end. We both want the people who have been doing harm to us and frequently breaking the law to start paying for their evil actions. For that to happen, you, Republicans, need to stop being marks. Get comfortable with tossing Republicans in prison because I'm already more than comfortable. In fact, downright excited to toss Democrats in prison. In other words, we're halfway there. Meet me the rest of the way. Thank you, brother man. Dennis, credit to make such a statement as to wanting to jail Dems. I can respect the balance of that. Excellent. I'll double down and say Eric Adams. That motherfucker is as corrupt as I can imagine being as the mayor of New York, and yet still not in a prison cell. We're going to talk about that. In the meantime, damn it. Pink getting me at the very end. All right, it's us. It's us versus the ruling class. Always has been. Astronaut meme goes here. Yeah, 100%. I truly hate these motherfuckers. Like with a passion that only Bob Ross and his paints shared. Do I hate the ruling class? In the meantime, this has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake, and this is Donald James X.